views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Whether she's walking the red carpet or doing interviews, you'll find her with celebrities and all the latest news. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere, she's always on the go. So sit back, relax, and get ready, 'cause it's the Corey Taylor Talks Show.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Corey Taylor Talks live from Las Vegas. I am very excited about my guest today. First of all, I love him. He's such a great person, and he has helped my family for years and other people I know. And I mean, you've been doing this for 30 years now. Yeah. So I want to get straight into everything because there's so many questions, and I know you guys probably want to know so many answers about the housing market, especially here in Vegas, because it just seems to be booming. So I'm so excited, Mr. Roger Stein.
Well,
so hi, Roger. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here today.
Oh my, I'm honored to have you. I'm so excited, and I think it's so important we really talk about this because I think a lot of people are kind of overwhelmed with how fast the housing market kind of grew here and stuff. And
well, there's a lot of different marketing and disruptive marketing that you see online and on the internet, and it really creates a lot of confusion, I think, especially for people that are not familiar with the market or familiar with how to buy or even sell a home. Right. So I'm happy to answer any questions you can throw at me and see if I can help your viewers.
That's right. Well, we have quite some over here that I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
A whole lot, but I really think it's just so important that people really need to know about this, and I think it's great we're talking about finally. So.
Absolutely.
So like I said, so you've been doing this for 30 years now?
30 years, going on 30 years, 29.
Oh my gosh.
I'm aging myself here. I started here in it's been 1991. And I've been Clark County the whole time, serving the greater Las Vegas area, Boulder City, Henderson, greater Las Vegas, North Las Vegas. And it's been a very good, interesting experience, and I hope to continue for many, many years.
Absolutely, and you will, because I really want to bring that up. First of all, you're, like I said, and I think the more people watch this, they can really tell you have such a good heart, and I think that's such an important part, because you need to really be able to trust your realtor and really believe that they're doing the best for you, and it's kind of hard to find, but you have been so successful for almost 30 years now, and I think it's because you're a hustler. You really get the best you absolutely can. You work hard for your customers, but then you also have a great heart, and they can really trust you and go to you for any questions they have.
Well, thank you, and any questions I'm here to answer.
Awesome. And so, okay, let's kind of talk. What is actually a real estate agent or a broker? What is that?
Well, we an actual licensed broker. We hold a higher level of knowledge. We oversee transactions. We represent buyers and sellers, and we do property management, some of us. The biggest thing that really I could say that we do, we are truly problem solvers.
Gotcha.
I mean, we are just not people that open doors and show houses, which a lot of people do think that, and I understand that, because that's what you see. That's everybody. It all focuses on the house.
Right.
Where what do you want to live in? Where do you want to live? And whatnot. So when you're thinking of an agent, it's not just calling on an ad to look at a pretty home. There's so much that goes into it behind the scenes. And I always say, handling a real estate transaction is like taking an airplane ride. We want to get on the plane. We do expect a little bit of turbulence, but we want to bring it in for a smooth landing. And the turbulence is what we handle behind the scenes, and that's so important. And having an agent that has the experience is crucial to handle that, because unfortunately, if somebody doesn't have that experience, that's when you hear the transactions going completely left or not.
Right. No, absolutely. And I hear lots of different things about the real estate market and everything. How is it kind of doing right now in Vegas, across the nation? How is the real estate market doing?
Well, in Vegas, we're doing very well. As of today, and I ran some stats before I came here to meet with you, we only have 4,300 single-family homes for sale. We have approximately 800 condos, and only 400 plus a little bit more than 400 townhomes for sale.
Wow.
So really, on a town of 2.5 million or so people, roughly, that's not very much inventory.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, and because I think especially with kind of the Raiders coming in town, and people have all these different theories about what's gonna happen.
Sure.
So I do want to kind of go along with that too.
Well, a lot of questions I get asked all the time lately is, are we going to have another crash?
Right.
Well, I wish I had my crystal ball and could tell you. Nobody can ever say what the future is going to hold, but I can tell you with logic and numbers. That's where I operate off of. And I'll compare it back to 2008. 2008, at the time, lending was very easy. The average borrower could put no money down, get into a home. They could fog a mirror, if you will, and they would get a mortgage. There was an 80-20 product at that time, so you had 2 mortgages on a property with no down payment, coupled with high unemployment and a lot of other unfavorable economic conditions at that time, and it held for the perfect storm. Now, fast forward to 2020, oh my gosh, 12 years later, what we see now is the average party has purchased with a larger down payment. There are no more 80-20 type loans. They do have limited income, stated income type loan products now, but they're few and far between, and they're still very stringent. So the average loan I see anymore is a 10%, 20%, 5% down conventional type products. There are some first-time homebuyer products that are really good. We have FHA, 3.5% down type products. The best advice I can give anybody is really focus on the 30-year fixed, because you never know what's going to happen. You may be there 2 years, you could be there 20 years. And I laugh because I see people all the time, they'll tell me, oh, this is my forever home. And a year later, they're calling me to have to sell it. So, at the end of the day, always plan for the long haul, even though it may not be, and be conservative. Don't go beyond your means.
And I have to ask, when the whole 2008 housing market crashed, did you kind of foresee it happening, or what was your experience?
My experience at the time, yes, we did. We had a lot of situations where I was nervous about it when I saw a lot of the stated income loan products at that time, where people were, really going beyond their means. I didn't like it. I saw it. I saw parties that had an income level that were qualifying for homes they shouldn't have been qualifying for. I can tell you I did not partake in that. I don't believe in it. I always believed in a 30-year fixed or a pay option ARM. Those were at that time, they don't even have them anymore that I'm aware of now, but they at that time offered that product for somebody who knew they were only going to be in a home for 3 or 5 years. There were certain loan programs that fit that type of need, but nowadays I don't even like those. I stick to the 30-year fixed traditional loans.
Yeah. No, it makes sense, and like you said, you never really know what's going to come.
No. Right. And another thing, we had our median priced home back in 2008 was right around $315, and today we are sitting right about the same. Wow. So we are 12 years later, we're right where we were in 2008 as far as numbers go, but we have a lot of different things happening economically. We have more population coming here. In addition, you have the state of California, which is right next door, our next door neighbor. They have 40 million people there. They have a different tax structure than we do, and we're attracting a lot of Californians coming here. I believe in the last 18 months we've captured about 100,000 population alone from there. Oh my gosh. So we're seeing a lot of people from California.
I had no idea about that.
And a good example would be somebody in California who is, say, in an area, I'll use Downey, California. Homes that were built in 1960, they're selling for $600,000 now. They're a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,200 square foot home. They're coming here and buying a 3,000 square foot home for, not much more than that. And they're able to pay cash or put a very large down payment. And that is why I don't feel we're going to have anywhere near a correction or crash that a lot of people had maybe possibly speculated on, because you have a lot of people now that are putting a lot of money down on these homes here. There's a lot of equity in them, which we did not have back in 2008. Not to mention we have very low unemployment. We have a lot of new businesses that have come to Las Vegas, very exciting. The Raiders, you have the Golden Knights. Rumors are on the horizon of a baseball team.
Oh, I'm sure we're going to get everything.
Everything is coming. So with all that to be said, if you look at where we are now versus where we were 12 years ago, it's a lot different.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, because, like you said, you hear rumors and stuff, but I think I trust you more than what you're hearing online.
And I only can say, I'm not a forecaster. I wish I was, but I see I'm only saying what I see now and what I know, and I don't have any major concerns of a big crash coming. There's always, real estate doesn't change value overnight. It takes time. And so there's always a good time to sell, and there's always a time to buy. And if it's not a good time to sell, you just wait. You don't sell because you only lose or make the money when you sell the asset.
Right.
Well, in this situation, it's a very good market for both.
So yeah, I was gonna ask, is it a good time to buy right now?
It is. Rates as of right now, I just locked somebody in on an FHA loan, are getting ready to at 3.75% interest. So rates are extremely well. That's a 30-year fixed. There are some really other great programs. We have VA, which is dollar down or no money down VA loans if you qualify for a veteran's loan. There's no MI, no PMI on that product, and rates are roughly right about the same as FHA. And then we have our conventional product lines that are from 5% down all the way to 20% down and more. Also, the FHA loan limits have gone up. Used to be, we were in around the 320 range. Now I believe we're at 345. Conventional loans are now up to 510 for conforming. Those are get your lower owner-occupied rates. So there's definitely lots of financing options that are out there. And if you're considering to buy a home, probably the best thing you can do is find a lender that you feel comfortable with. Remember, there are no dumb questions to ask.
Yeah.
Always go to 2 or 3 different lenders and compare.
yeah.
Have them print you out a good faith estimate. Nobody should be afraid to give you that. And ask them what their fees are. Many lenders now don't charge fees, and their rates are par.
Yeah.
So if something doesn't seem right, or ask around.
Yeah. And do you work with your clients to find different lenders? and
Yeah,
stuff?
we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have been in it so long that I already know a lot of the questions the lenders will ask. I'll do a little bit of a pre-qual myself just to get a feel for where my clients act, because not everybody has the same history.
Oh, of course.
And
right.
if that is the situation, then I'll know which lenders to have them go to get various options.
Good. And if someone is a first-time home buyer, how would you suggest they kind of get started?
You know, a first-time home buyer, again, the best thing you can do is find an agent that you are comfortable with, and we'll talk about that in a second, and find a lender that you're comfortable with, as we just spoke about. There are different types of loan products. A lot of people will come to me and say, oh, I hear there's down payment assistance. And, you know, they're wonderful products and wonderful programs. The only thing I caution with a down payment assistance program is the fees and costs are higher on those products. They're usually done through a grant program where it's a nonprofit, but for profit, I'm fine. I mean, whenever you hear the word nonprofit, there's always a profit somewhere that somebody's making. That's
Gotcha.
my experience.
Right.
So with a nonprofit or type grant product, there are usually fees that get tacked on, and the lender that normally doesn't charge those fees, they have to charge them because someone's got to pay them.
Gotcha.
So we find that the interest rates can sometimes be higher. Again, the charges can be sometimes 2 or 3% more than what it would be versus not going on the
Gotcha.
down payment assistance program. So if you have the ability to save, instead of putting 1% down, maybe come up with that extra 2 or 3%.
Right.
On your own, you're going to save a lot of money. You can also, with FHA, get a gift. So maybe you have a mom, dad, or uncle, or grandmother, or parent, somebody in your family that says, you know, I want to help you out. You can get a gift letter for the difference. So, you know, instead of buying or instead of borrowing on a grant program to where you have to pay more in fees, maybe you can just go ahead and do the lower interest rate, 30-year fixed, and borrow or not borrow, but obtain the difference from a relative.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
very interesting stuff. And, you know, a lot of people are renting now.
Yes.
And so let's say you want to buy, and you're saying it's a great tent to buy, and they're stuck under the rental contract. What kind of advice do you have for that?
Well, we do a lot of property management. I've been doing property management as long as I've been in real estate here.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And we're a little different maybe than most. What we do is we offer a program for our tenants if they really want to buy a home. As long as they let us know, we'll put that property up for rent while they're there, and we time it to where we have a new tenant coming in right when they're going out, and it benefits all.
Gotcha.
So hopefully your landlord will be of the same. So what I would recommend, the first thing you do is check your lease and see what your options are. If you're not sure what your options are, find a really good agent that you trust or a broker, or call your property manager and just be upfront with them and say, hey, you know, I'm thinking of buying a home, and what can you do to help me out? Maybe you have 6 months left on your lease. Keep in mind, by the time you get pre-qualified and you start looking in our market, and again, right now, we don't have that many homes for sale. So, you know, your first go around to try to find a home may not be successful, you might find you're in a bidding war. You might find that you have other options, and there's a lot of people competing for the same properties.
Right.
So it might take you 2 or 3 months to find and lock in a property, and then once you find and lock in the property, you're probably another 45 days away from closing on it anyway. So really, when you're 6 months away from ending your lease is probably about the right time to start looking anyway.
Interesting.
So you may find that you're only going to be short a month or two, and once you've bought the home and you're in escrow, you know, all things being considered equal, you may want to wait and make sure that your loan's going to close on time.
Right.
And then once it's closing, or just you know for sure it's going to close, then you allow your current landlord to put the house back on the market. Maybe you offer to work with them to show the property, so
Right.
to help them get the property rented all the quicker. So there's lots of things you can do to benefit everybody. And I think if you sit down and just logically have a conversation with your landlord and explain what you're trying to do, they'll appreciate it, because then it gives them an opportunity to think too. Maybe they want to sell the home. Maybe they want to sell you the home that you're renting.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure it's all kind of case by case, but how long would you say it usually takes for you to like actually get into the property and like the whole buying process?
Okay, the buy process. Once you've found a home, you've made an offer, you go into escrow. The next step usually is a home inspection, which I totally advise everybody to do. You, especially nowadays, we have a lot of people who have gotten very happy watching HGTV and they decide they want to flip a house and make it look really pretty. But what I have found is carpet and paint does hide a multitude of sins.
Right.
So when we see that, I really put your antennas up, because that home inspection is going to be very important. You want that home inspector to make sure they're really checking for everything. And if you're suspicious that it goes beyond what a home inspector can handle, then you can sometimes hire a contractor to come out. They'll go through the home with you as well, and they'll look for things that maybe could be covered over.
And kind of, what do you suggest more, like buying new or resale?
The difference between buying new and resale really depends on your budget, how much cash you have, disposable cash you have. The good news about buying brand new is it's already done. The house is new, you have new equipment, new air conditioning, new heating, you know, your sprinklers in the front are new. It's just a new home. It has the new, kind of like the new car smell.
Right.
And it's wonderful. The problem with a new home, unfortunately, when you see the base price that's being advertised, it really isn't going to be the price that you end up paying. That is for, that doesn't include your lot premium. Well, we call it lot premium back in the day. Now they call it a location premium. Basically, it's just an upcharge to add more to the cost of the home. A lot of times too, there's going to be a lot of options. The house may not come with the flooring that you see in the model. The model homes look so pretty. They're done so well.
They're beautiful.
They're beautiful. And you go through them and you think, oh my gosh, you know, this is great. Remember, before you buy that house, go walk a property as it's being delivered to somebody, and you're going to see a whole different look. It's going to be very white, very four white walls and a box, and it may not be how beautiful the model home is. So with that being said, usually you can plan on, I'd say, a good 30 to 40% above what your base price is by the time you're done. And especially if you're a person that wants a home with a pool, I highly recommend finding a resale, because putting a new pool in a home is a very expensive process nowadays. It's a lot of work, and if you can already find one already in, you're gonna come out ahead. Going resale, especially if you find one that has a lot of nice features in it and you don't have to do all the remodeling, you're just basically walking in with your down payment and you're done. With a new home, there's a lot of extra expenses that come up, like the window treatments, the appliances, the backyard landscaping, things of that nature. But again, everybody has a different need and want list, and it just depends on your price point too. And again, we talked about price point being, right now it's very hard to find homes that are under the median that are brand new. They are out there. So that's something to also keep in mind.
And you know, obviously it's very exciting, and you probably want to get into the first house you love. How many properties do you kind of suggest looking at before you decide?
That's a real tricky question. You know, back in the day, when what I call a normal real estate market in Las Vegas, this is my opinion only, is about 12,000 houses for sale. That creates a nice hum. That means, in my mind, we have about 4 or 5 months worth of inventory. We have a very, you know, as houses are selling, new ones are coming on, it's not such a buying frenzy or a selling frenzy. So, you know, in a normal market, you should never feel rushed anyway. You're going to know when you walk in. Some people buy the house from the street, they don't care what the inside looks like, they like it from the yard. Everybody's got a different feel for it, but you know when it's the right house. If you walk in and you really like it, and it meets your budget, and it has all the features you want. Basically, it checks all the boxes, or at least 80% of them, and it really fits all your needs. There's nothing wrong with pulling the trigger and making an offer.
Yeah.
Because remember, what you hesitate on, somebody else is going to take advantage of and may end up with it the next day. So I've seen that happen more than not. And you know, the bidding wars, they can happen too. This is what I always tell all my clients. What will be, will be. What is meant to be is meant to be. Don't let anybody talk you into something that you don't want to do, and don't ever force yourself into something you don't want to do, because then it ends up being a problem. Always take your time, take a deep breath, stand back for a minute and look at it, and make sure it's what you want. If it is something you want, and again, it checks all those boxes, take a leap of faith. You're going to be okay.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, there's so many different financing options and everything.
Yes.
What do you think's kind of the best, or does it kind of just depend person to person?
It's really person to person. Obviously, if somebody who is, has a first-time home buyer, and maybe they have a few $1,000s saved, and maybe somebody that we want to work with for a little while to get them to save up their whole 3.5% down, or again, borrow the money from a relative. Not borrow, I'm sorry, get a gift from a relative, and to find out how much you can borrow and qualify for. That way, you know, it really starts and stops with your own personal finances. And then we have situations now where people own a home, and they want to sell. They have to sell a home to buy a home. And that happens a lot. And you're going to find that a lot of owners and a lot of these new home developers don't want to do contingencies. Well, there's a couple of ways to combat that. And again, there are these providers that are out there. I'm not going to say names, but there are providers that.
Oh, come on.
There are providers that are out there that will basically, you can trade in your home, or you can sell your home to, you know, I'll use Zillow as an example, because they're a nationally recognized name, and I actually, Zillow's a great company. But with Zillow, they have programs where they'll buy your home. But remember, when somebody is going to offer to buy your home, you're going to have to leave something on the table. Nobody does it for free. There's always money to be made.
Right.
So what I find with a lot of these companies are, they will make an offer on your home, and they will charge very high percentage or fees. The sales price will remain the same, but then they're going to charge you for repairs. They're going to charge you for the sale process. So basically, there's got to be a way for them to make money. And what I find on average of every customer that has come to me after I look at their net sheets, it's about a $20,000 to $30,000 bill they're leaving on the table with one of these other type of providers. That is not necessarily a bad thing if you can afford to do it and you're okay with it, and you want to if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but you should know that going in.
Absolutely.
With our market now, with as fast as the houses are selling, I mean, we have about a 30-day supply of housing right now. There's really no need to put a home on the market under those terms. You might as well capitalize on every dollar that you can.
That's true.
So what I tell everybody to do before they go and buy a home, or before they put their home up for sale, take the leap of faith, find a real estate agent that you trust and that you like, go take a ride and see what's out there. The first step is, don't find your dream home. That's not what the homework is. The homework is not to find your dream home. The home is to go out. The homework is to go out and see if there's something that you potentially like. Did something strike you? Is that a home you can live in? Is that an area you like? If the answers to the questions are yes, we have hope. Then what we do is, then I would recommend put the house on, get your home ready, have your agent advise you what to list it for, do all your numbers, get pre-qualified, make sure that, just because remember, you already own a home doesn't necessarily mean you can qualify for a new one, because things have changed. You know, it could be that you have extra debt that you have to get paid off, or there could be some other issues. So always, even though you own a home, is not a guarantee that you're able to buy the new one.
Absolutely.
So get pre-qualified. Get an agent find an agent that will help you price the house. See if there's any work that needs to be done to your home to get the highest possible price out of it. Find out all these things. Then when you're ready, put the house on the market. You can do a couple of different things. When you get an offer on the home and it's going to net you an acceptable amount of money, you can always have your agent do a reverse contingency. What that means is, it's contingent on you finding another home that you want to buy. So that way you have the buyer. You have the buyer in tow. It's not going to be hard for you to find a home because you already have yours sold. And most sellers, and even most new housing communities, will take a contingency if your home is already under contract and in escrow. The other option you have is to go ahead and sell the home, go into escrow, and do a rent back with the current buyer. So you let them know, we're going to close on the 20th of the month, but I want 30 days to stay in the home after closing and rent it back from you so that I can get moved. And I highly recommend that even if you already have another home that you're closing on, because the idea of buying and selling and everybody moving on the same day doesn't happen. That is the biggest complaint I hear. That is the biggest complaint that agents will come to me, clients come to me and say, I had a really bad experience. Well, why was your experience bad? Well, everybody's moving on the same day, and I couldn't get into my house, and my moving van broke down, and I'm the last guy, because he who closes last is the last one to move in.
That's right.
So everybody, it's got to start a domino.
Right.
So at the end of the day, that's always the biggest complaint that I hear. It's the stress. Find an agent who's a problem solver, who's a circle thinker. A circle thinker means they outthink the problem before it happens. That way they can advise you of what to expect and put your timeline accordingly.
Gotcha. No, it makes perfect
Yep.
sense. And like you said, you really need an agent you can trust and has 29 years of experience,
Oh.
just saying. Almost 30.
Almost 30. I can't believe you're really aging me.
No. I think it's amazing.
Well,
and you look amazing, so don't
thank
even
you.
say that. And so, okay, when you are a first-time home buyer, what should you kind of be on the lookout for?
When you're looking at homes, and especially if it's not a new home, because the one thing that is also more beneficial with a new home is you have a warranty with the home. It's a new home, new
Gotcha.
construction.
Right.
So typically you're covered there. But with a lot of the homes we see now, we joked a little bit before about the paint and carpet scenario and HGTV. Know what it's going to cost you when you go in. I also do mediation for the Las Vegas Realtors board here. And
Really?
yes, I do.
Wow.
And one of the biggest things that I see come before me a lot of times where people are upset because the house has needed repairs after closing that they didn't know about. And again, I had a couple that really sticks in my mind. They bought an older home, and it was built in the 50s. It had galvanized plumbing. This is a good example. Galvanized plumbing it's great when it's new,
Right.
and it works for many, many years. But unfortunately, it wears out. And when galvanized plumbing wears out in an old home, it has to be replaced. Well, it's a very big job to do it. And so you're ripping into walls, you're ripping into floors, you're ripping into everything. So, to repipe a 1,500 square foot home with that has galvanized plumbing in it, could be a nice $6,000 to $10,000 bill. So
yeah.
if you're a first-time home buyer and your agent doesn't explain that to you up front, that, hey, let's look at your budget, let's look at the projected repairs that this older home is going to need. Maybe that house built in the 50s isn't going to be the right one for you. Maybe you need to find something that's a little newer.
Right.
Maybe we need to find something that's either had the work done to it already.
Right.
So keep that in mind. Again, if a house has had a lot of recent renovation to it, make sure you really inspect it well, because once you close on it, it's hard to find remedy for those things.
And I have to ask, because I always have mixed opinions about it, but what do you think about HOAs? Like, yes or no?
The HOA saga.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about
Okay.
it.
If you're the kind of guy or gal or family that has that big, beautiful pink motorhome with purple polka dots on it, and you love to have it parked out in front of your house at all the time, HOA probably wouldn't be for you. All kidding aside, HOAs are wonderful things, believe it or not. Yes, they have rules,
Okay.
but we all live by rules in life. If we didn't have rules, there would be a lot of more problems than we
Right.
have. But the thing about an HOA is it does keep the continuity of a neighborhood going.
Right.
So it doesn't allow your neighbor to paint their home pink and the guy next door to paint theirs bright
I want
green.
to paint my home pink.
I know, pink's your favorite color. But the problem with that is for resale,
Right.
it's hard.
Right.
And so keep that in the back of your mind, So with an HOA, even there's all types of HOAs. There's very strict ones that won't even allow you to park in your driveway overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some up in Summerlin that are like that, so be very careful.
Wow.
Make sure you understand what you're buying before you
Right.
buy it. Make sure you read the CC&Rs. Make sure you ask the questions. If you have a boat or RV, and that's a real important thing, and even if your house has RV parking, doesn't necessarily mean you can keep it there. Because again, if it can be seen over the fence or over the wall, some of the HOAs have adopted new rules with that.
Wow.
So be very careful about, even if a home is advertised one way, it's still up to you as the buyer to do your investigation and make sure. So again, HOAs are great because they do keep the continuity of the neighborhood. They keep everybody in check with their yards and their shrubs and and just keeping the houses look aesthetically appealing. When you have no HOA, you run the risk of having, Mr. Sanford and Son, if we will, back in the day from my age group, that, where you have people that can keep stuff in their yards and there's no
People like me, I'm not
well,
going to lie.
there's people that keep, old derelict jalopies laying in their driveways and their, and things like that. And an HOA wouldn't allow that.
Right.
So again, non-HOA is not a bad thing.
Right.
If you have the toys and you like to live with all your stuff around, hey, great, go, absolutely. But then I wouldn't want to take that person and sell them a home in an HOA community. They'll hate it, and they'll hate me.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah. Like even we have a 15-foot Rudolph that we like to keep up all year if we could, but we can't. So.
Exactly.
But oh well, it is what it is. And so obviously you were saying it's a great time to buy. Is it a good time to sell?
Yeah, it's a very active market. So because it is a good time to buy and we have low inventory, it does give the homeowner who wants to maybe move up or move down.
Yeah.
We see a lot of people, they're empty nesters now. The kids are all off to school. They have that big 4 or 5 bedroom home and they don't want the 2-story anymore with a big pool to take care of. And there's another family that wants to move right up into it. So it works for everybody.
Right. And okay, so obviously I think everyone should go with you when they are picking an agent. But if you're not in Vegas, what do you suggest when you're looking for an agent? What do you look for?
Well, look for somebody who does have experience. Look for somebody who's been in the business a long time. Referrals are great. So if you could talk to 3 or 4 friends that have all bought homes in the recent history and they can give you some names to look at, absolutely. Because the best advice I can give you is go with who you were referred to.
Right.
And yes, if you're in Las Vegas and you want to call me, absolutely, I'm happy to help you.
Absolutely. Or Boulder City or Henderson.
Boulder City or
North Las
Henderson,
Vegas.
we can help you. And actually, if you need something out of state and you live in Vegas and you're going to relocate out of the area, you can still give us a call.
Okay.
We have a great referral network that we work with, and we use experienced agents.
Oh, interesting. And so how many people, if you want to interview different agents and stuff, how many agents would you suggest interviewing?
You know
before
what?
actually
I
did it?
suggest interview till you feel comfortable. That may be 1. It could be 5. It could be, if it's somebody your parents worked with and they refer them to you and you're very happy, it's a family friend and they've been in the business a long time and you like everything they're telling you and you're comfortable with them, then yes. If you have to relate to the agent. Even somebody who's very experienced, if you can't relate to them and you don't get along with them, it's not going to work. It's still a personality that you have to adapt to.
Absolutely.
So again, the best thing I can say is, do your homework. As you check different lenders and different banks, check different agents too.
Oh, absolutely. And we actually have call-in guests, so we want to get them on the line. So hi, caller. If you're talking to Corey Taylor Talks, how can I help you?
When I heard Roger was going to be on your show, I just really, really had a feel I had to call up and say things about him. I have actually worked with Roger since 1994. I don't even remember how I met him,
my gosh, I
but
think I
he
know
has
this
bought
is.
and helped me buy and sell every single home I ever lived in, from used to new. Everything, financial issues, everything. I can honestly say from and not only me as well, I have referred him to so many people that could never get a home, and he has worked miracles, and I mean that. And never have I ever seen anybody work so hard and care about people and help you in every way possible. But like he said, if it isn't meant, it isn't. I know if I ever try and buy something and if I don't get it, it ain't going to happen with anybody. Because if Roger can't do it, it isn't going to happen. And I mean that sincerely. Buy, sell, whatever the issue is. If you go and see him, he gives you 100% attention. And at the same time, the poor guy, he's got phone calls and messages because he cares. I mean, he has so many clients, but he does not diminish one part of how he helps you, and that's why he's so successful, and that's why he has these people. I can't tell you how many people I've recommended, how many people go back year after year, because he's just amazing. And I'm not a friend of his. I love him as a friend because I consider him my friend for what he's done to me and helped me with throughout my life. The biggest purchase of your life is a home. It's a home, and not a house, but a home, and he helps you find that home. He truly does. You might want this, but he's going to tell you, we can't afford this, but let's look at that, or start here, and then you can sell it and go. And he helps you every step of the way. And when it's time to buy again or sell again, you don't have to even think twice, because you call him up, he is there. I mean, I've never in my life seen anybody work so hard. And I have other friends that are realtors, and I love them dearly. But I swear to you, I would never use anybody but Roger and his company. And he is the most caring person, and he knows stuff that nobody else knows. And like you say, he's been here 29 years. I've used him since 1994. And it's amazing. He's amazing. And I cannot thank him enough. And I cannot truly suggest him enough if anybody needs any kind of realtor or home management, property management.
What a plug.
If they don't go to him, I'm being sincere from the bottom of my heart. You're crazy. You don't need to look anybody else. Just go see him. You'll be there for 5 minutes with them. You'll be saying he's my realtor. It's
I know
not
who
even
this
an
lady
issue.
is, and she's a doll. And I absolutely,
I mean
recognize-
that too, from the bottom of my heart.
I can't. I thank you. I didn't know. Thank you for calling in and letting me know.
And I mean that. Really, really, I do. So thank you, because you have really helped my family throughout years, the best of times and the worst of times in every way. And we can never thank you for that enough. So
Well, thank you very much.
Well, actually, I couldn't agree more with the caller, because my family has been working with you for years, and although I'm not a home buyer or anything, I so many stories and so many wonderful things. And my sister, when she bought her home, we were like, go with him, because he's just really, you can't beat it. You're just incredible.
Wow.
You're the best of the best. It, like she said, if you have other friends who are realtors and stuff,
I always say, go with who you're comfortable with. And
I think everyone would be comfortable with you.
And go with who makes you feel.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And go with who you're comfortable with and who answers all your questions.
Right.
And just make sure that at the end of the day that that you get all your questions answered. There are no dumb questions, and nobody should feel rushed,
Right.
because this is the most important purchase of your life or
Absolutely.
sale, and you want to make sure it's handled correctly. And there's a
Absolutely.
lot of things between start and finish that happen behind the scenes that you just have to know how to handle.
Right. Oh, yeah. And you handle all of them.
I always put a plug too. Even when times are good, there are somebody out there that's having a bad time, and
course.
I always tell everybody that if you do own a home and you are running behind, or you're afraid that maybe you've lost your job or you're having some hardships, there's a lot of programs that are still available out there. Again, just
Okay.
because times are good doesn't mean they've forgotten about you.
Right.
And if you need that help, also give me a call. You can also call your bank, your lender, and talk to their financial aid departments, and there's definitely some products out there that can help you. It's a lot better now than it was back in 2008.
Thank God.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, because that's a big problem. A
It
lot
is.
of people, because anything can change overnight,
Absolutely.
and you never can, like you said, you don't have a crystal ball. As much as we wish you did,
The
you don't.
biggest
can't
thing
do
I
it.
tell everybody is when you think
Right.
you have a problem, or if you have a problem,
Right.
don't hide from it. Just
Right.
make a phone call. Start making
Yeah.
calls and get proactive, and that'll put you in a better place.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Roger.
Well,
for
thank you
being
for
on.
having me.
I love you. I
I-
think you're the best. And I learned a lot. I know everyone listening really learned a lot.
I
Because
mean, we
it's
could
so
absolutely
important.
have an hour conversation on
Oh,
every one of these questions. So,
I think more than that. Yeah.
if anybody has any more questions, or they'd like,
Yeah.
they know how to get a hold of you, and they can get a hold of me.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. And where can people get in touch
I
with
own
you?
Hudson Real Estate. Our office main number is 702 area code 871-9339. And you can call me directly at 702-413-3695. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Awesome. And thank you so much. I just adore you. So I'm so glad we got to finally have you on and really talk about the housing market.
Absolutely.
So,
Oh, and if anybody needs property management, we do that too.
which is
And
wonderful.
we offer that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, I'm sure. Awesome. Well, thank you,
All right,
Roger,
thank
for
you.
being on. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you are in the Vegas area, you know who to go to. And if not, like he said, he works out estate agents and stuff. So, I mean, really just absolutely the best. And do your research. Obviously, you have a lot of answers to so many questions. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, never give up. Always believe, and you'll achieve. Thank you. God bless.